Julianne.
Hi, Sam.
Thank you so much for your time today.
You're so welcome. So I set up the studio Florist probably almost 10 years ago now. And we were in Sandymount for about 5 or 6 years, and we've since moved to Glenageary by the sea, which is lovely. So the studio florist is obviously our floral business, where we do lots of larger corporate events and focusing mainly on weddings. Lots of really nice weddings that are held all over Ireland. We travel everywhere. We work in all types of venues, from marquees to people's private homes, beautiful castles, all the nicest hotels in the country. So I think what we're seeing is a move away from the more structural, architectural type flowers and structures, bouquets and centerpieces, and it's moving more into a lighter kind of feel, more meadowy, more movement, I would suppose you'd say, and maybe smaller flowers. So as opposed to huge big headed roses, we feel like we're going to see more delicate stems that move easily and have much less of a structured feel. We are definitely getting lots of inquiries about having much less colour, so a lot of white weddings. A majority of our weddings are actually going to be all white this year. Right. Not as much foliage as we have done in the past. We also have some full foliage weddings that are just foliage with no flowers at all, which is going to be amazing. Well, I would be very reluctant to choose a flower. That's a timeless classic. What I do think is, if you can lean into what's available and what's seasonal, there's no point in looking for peonies in November, because although we may be able to get them, they may cost, close to 16 or 18 euro a head for one stem. So you're best off, again, taking the advice of your wedding florist. Once you have a palette, I feel like it's really easy. As I said before, we don't use Oasis anymore in our designs, which is great because it doesn't break down. We use methods like chicken wire and tape, and in our footed bowls and most of our designs, and we reuse our standard poles and everything. We also lend to other florists, and we lend to each other, so that we're not all buying the same items. So I have a lot of floral friends who will ring and say, do you have 30 footed bowls? And we'll lend them, and then we will borrow things from them. In terms of the wedding itself, or our wedding, we will, so many people now also are getting married totally in hotels. There's not a church aspect, so they may get married with an arch or a floral arch on the ground, and then have their wedding breakfast in a marquee, and we will move everything over to the marquee or the wedding venue or wherever it is, and we use those flowers for the second part of the wedding, which people love. And then we always encourage the bride and groom to offer their wedding guests the florals to take home the day after the wedding, the next morning, before they will leave, to go in and grab a handful of flowers, because otherwise they don't get used. The style of the studio florist is plentiful. We love to have lots of flowers, and it's a very organic, non-structured type of feeling to our flowers. We don't use any Oasis, for example, or any stain products like that. We prefer to kind of order in what is available, what's a good price, in the palette that we've already discussed with our brides. And then if we're left to our own devices, once the palette has been decided, we will buy the best things from the market that are available on the day that we're purchasing for your wedding. And that leads us then to be able to do what we do best, which is, you know, beautiful, plentiful, really kind of juicy flowers that we all create in the studio together. And that's our, I suppose that's our style. It's plentiful and organic, and you know, if we love what we're doing, then we just do it really, really well. This is obviously total personal choice. We're definitely seeing a move towards less structured bouquet, more our style of free-flowing flowers, smaller flower heads. Some people are having cascading bouquets, but again, when they have those, they're again less structured. They're not made in an oasis fix, which they would have been, you know, back in the 70s or 80s. So it's a more modern version of a cascading bouquet. We don't get a lot of them, but when we do get them, that's how we sell them. And then otherwise, I feel like it's smaller. There's definitely a couple like Lily of the Valley bouquets that are happening this year, which are very delicate and very tiny and beautiful and small. Still expensive, because Lily of the Valley is expensive, and you need a lot of it for one bouquet. But I would say just something lighter and with more movement. I absolutely love the Venezia range.
Yeah, that is a beautiful.
It's beautiful, Delph, and I think it's a very simple design, if you like, that kind of goes with everything.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful. It's really summery. It's really light, and it just looks cool and clean and crisp. It's beautiful and it complements our flowers. So obviously, I love that.